Alright, today we're going to be defining the CIA Triad. So let's begin. So, what does the CIA Triad stand for? It stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. This is an example right here. We have a penguin who has encrypted a file so Joe can't read it. And this penguin's asking, what does it say? In this example, is just showing that confidentiality, showing that certain users aren't allowed to view certain files. In this example, this penguin encrypted a file on this other penguin who can't see it, and he's just annoyed by it. Next, we have integrity. In this example, we have two penguins talking how both of their hashes match. And in this example is just showing that if you were to hash or kind of hash a file and both of the hashes match, that means the file hasn't been changed, and the file hasn't been changed at all, and you're looking at the original file. This is just showing that your data is safe for the most part. And then we have availability, and this last one's pretty funny because it has a penguin all sad because ransomware has affected all of their files. But this penguin comes at the end and just says that they have backup files in case of events like this to happen. So let's talk about this a little bit more. So with confidentiality, the main thing is to keep our data private and safe. And the key component of maintaining confidentiality is to make sure that people without proper authorization are prevented from accessing assets important to your business or important to your customer. So an example I could think of is that Joe is able to see Kelly's bank information even though it doesn't belong to Joe, or if Kelly is able to view Joe's banking information even though they're not related or they have nothing, like they're just like two random customers. And to fight against confidentiality breaches, you can classify and label and restrict data, enable access control policies which is just there to make sure that only certain users are allowed to view certain types of data, encrypt data, and use multi-factor authentication. And next we have integrity. So integrity involves making sure your data is trustworthy and free from tampering. So with integrity, your data is maintained only if the data is authentic. The integrity of your data is maintained only if the data is authentic, accurate, and reliable. So one case will be, let's say we have a site that holds information about our CEOs, and it tells us a brief summary about their past. What if a hacker is able to get access to the website and able to change that information? That's an example of data integrity. We don't want that to happen, because if the hacker was able to easily breach that website, it just shows to the customer, it just shows to the outside that we're not reliable enough to protect their data. And to protect against integrity attacks, we could use hashing, mostly for files, making sure that if the hashes don't match or hashes don't match, that means that our data has been compromised, and that's when other factors come into play. Or we could use encryption or digital certificates or digital signatures, mostly digital signatures for from emails, sending emails, making sure our email didn't get tampered, or mail sendings didn't get tampered. And for websites, you can employ trustworthy certification authorities or CAs that verify the authenticity of your website so visitors know that they're getting the site they're intended to visit. That's one way. And finally, we have the very last thing, which is availability. So with availability, you got to make sure data is available to the organization or to the customers that the organization is serving to. And to ensure data availability and to make sure that our data is available, we could have something as redundant networks, servers, or applications. The main thing with redundant networks, for the most part, is that they make sure it provides multiple paths for traffic, and it could keep data flowing even in the event of failure. So in simple words, more redundancy equals more reliability. And also, in case of like massive events such as fires, earthquakes, or just or power grid, power grid outage or something like that, backups are essential, and full disaster recovery plans also help company regain availability as soon after a negative event. So we could send that with backups. We could have backups in case of like a malicious event, like a malware attack. In this case, it was a ransomware attack in which it infected all of our files, but this penguin had backups to be able to rely on. And full disaster recovery plans, that has to do with like unforeseen events such as a storm brings down the power grid, or like earthquakes, fires, just natural disasters for the most part. And yeah, that was about it for me. That mostly ends this video. Hopefully, you guys learned something new about the CIA Triad. And that's about it. Peace.